Yeah, it's interesting. I was listening to a talk by a futurist, Barbara Marx Hubbard,
Mm-hmm.
and she was telling her own story with cancer and how she came to this realization that her cancer was her creativity that was not being channeled properly. And she realized that if she channeled her creativity properly into a purpose in her life, that the cancer would go away. And that's what she did, and the cancer went away. So do you think that there's specific illnesses that show up in response to specific environmental stimuli or subjective experiences? Like, is each illness trying to tell us something?
I would say so, yes, in most cases. Before I'm going to go into it, first of all, let's look at the causes of illness. Because there are only three causes of illness.
Okay.
The first one is trauma. For example, a person is fine and then they go outside and play some kind of sports and they twist their shoulder, maybe, God forbid, break their arm, or some kind of, again, sports injury, or a car accident happens. There's a trauma and it's a physical damage, and this is an illness, it's a sickness that has to be taken care of.
Right.
Doesn't happen that often, but it happens.
Yeah.
The second cause of most of the illnesses is toxicity. It's the
Toxicity.
Yes, it's the genetically modified organism. It's the drugs. It's the vaccines. It can even be cosmetics. It's the pollution. It's the radiation, microwave, cell phones. All those together combined, they create improper, or let's say bad chemistry inside the body. Now, what does that bad chemistry mean? What is that for? Basically, bad chemistry is improper communication. When the nervous system is communicating with the cells of the body or with the tissue, it's sending improper signals, it's sending bad signals. That creates basically problems or sickness or illness. So
smoking would be a good example
Yes,
of inhaling
yes.
these toxins over and over and over. And
over time. This is not something that happens overnight, but over time, yes, all those things, they contribute to various illnesses because there are so many viruses and bacteria already inside of our bodies. However, they are not active because our immune system is suppressing them constantly.
Mm-hmm.
But when the immune system is tired because there's just too much stress or too much toxicity in the body, it just can't cope with it anymore. Perfect environment for the viruses. Let's get to it. Let's destroy that human being. That's what happens. However, not that many people get toxic, although nowadays, with all the stuff that's happening, that's a different topic we can go into. But there's enough of that. There's enough of that. However, there's a third reason for problems, and that is thoughts.
Thoughts.
Yes, basically.
So the third cause of illness, we had the first one is trauma. Second is toxicity. The third is thoughts.
Or perception.
Perception.
Yes, basically perception, or the way the brain reacts, it causes all kinds of chemistry inside of the body. Positive perception creates, growth and basically prosperity, and the negative perception, it activates the threatening response. It's a survival mechanism. It's the fight or flight response.
Mm-hmm.
Very important point here is to note about stress. When I work with my clients, I ask them, well, do you have any stress? I say, like maybe recently or anything else, and they say, no, not really. I don't have any stress. So I'm fine. No problems. However, they confuse acute stress with prolonged stress. And acute stress is you're walking down the street and all of a sudden a large dog is approaching and it's barking and it starts to run towards you. You get this response, fight or flight, and ready to run, right? Your fists, they're filled with blood, your legs, and you want to just run, jump, and you're not thinking about anything else. You're just thinking about surviving.
Right.
You got this response. That's one of the examples of acute stress. The difference between acute and prolonged stress is that a prolonged stress is not that noticeable. A prolonged stress can be a problem that a person has, which is going on and dragging for years and years and years. Like you mentioned, that purpose alignment. When the person wants to do something in their life, something they really maybe want to do from their childhood, or something they came up with that's going to be an extraordinary idea. Maybe they want to help people, open up their own business, write a book, or do something, but they're not doing it because they're tired, or maybe they have to attend their meetings, they have to go to their job, which is extremely boring and really not what they want to be doing. But you got to pay the bills, and what if I'm going to quit the job, or what if I'm going to start doing this and I'm going to have enough time, or that's going to happen, and they never get to it. And that kind of tears them down through years. You really want to do something, but you can't. But you really want to do it, but you don't. And then this thing causes certain stress because you got to be coping with this constant state of you want to do something, but you can't, or you're not doing it. And it's tearing the person apart throughout time.
So it's really, it's like stifled self-expression. And I think for a lot of people, they have dreams, hopes, aspirations when they're little, and then those get buried over time when the quote-unquote reality of getting a job, paying the bills starts to hit home, and people forget those hopes and dreams they had. And
absolutely.
And they might not even be conscious of them at a certain point anymore. But what you're saying is those thoughts are still there, whether they're subconscious or conscious, and they can cause illness.
Oh yes, I have a lot of people who in reality want to be doing something else, and yet they're stuck at their very boring job. A lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people. And that is enough alone by itself to create a psychosomatic illness. Cancer can be even that, can be an example of that thing, because when people, a recent client that I had, she has cancer, and basically I think it was level stage 5. That's it. The doctor said there is nothing I can do. She went through chemotherapy, and there is nothing I can do. Maybe she's going to survive, maybe not. But when we started my company, me and a couple of my associates started working with her, when we got to the root cause of the problem, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's there. It's not just one thing that caused the cancer. It's a lot of it. But one of it was that it was always about other people. She never did what she really wanted to do. It was all about her husband, her kids, and things that other people want to do. But she never really got to do what she really wanted to do. And that created tension in her. And over the years, that contributed to cancer.
And so I guess that segues into my next question is, first of all, what % of illness in our society do you think fits in that third category of thoughts? And how can healthcare practitioners treat this type of illness? And how can people treat this type of illness in themselves?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Well, this is not my opinion. This is something, again, I collected from professionals, from real scientific community. About 90%.
90% of illness fits in that third category.
Yes, again, go back to what we were talking about, trauma, toxicity,
and thoughts.
Maybe 1% of the world gets traumatized, right? Not as many people get into car accidents compared to the entire population. We can say that about maybe 8% or 9% of people get toxic, right? Intoxication from the environment, from the food, from all those things. But the other 90%, or 85%, is from thoughts. Is from stress, is from, again, psychosomatic problems. And there is a whole bunch of reasons why that is. But again, it's a contribution of all of them together. It's not only one thing that caused this specifically. It's usually a contribution.